You're doing everything right. You've swapped the white bread for greens. You've traded the sugary snacks for fresh bowls of vegetables. You've even started pushing through the stiffness to take those daily walks because you've been told movement is medicine. Yet, every morning, the same thing happens. You sit on the edge of your bed, waiting for your knees to wake up, waiting for your lower back to stop screaming. You look at your reflection and see that despite the salads and the effort, the belly fat hasn't budged, and your energy feels like a battery that won't hold a charge. It feels like a betrayal, doesn't it? You're putting in the work, but your body isn't rewarding you. In fact, it feels like it's pushing back. But what if the very healthy habit you're most proud of, that raw, crunchy vegetable you've been told is a superfood, is actually the hidden trigger keeping your joints inflamed and your metabolism stalled? There is one specific vegetable that most people over 60 consider a holy grail of health. But when eaten raw, it contains a hidden compound that your body, at this stage of life, may no longer be able to handle. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on why healthy isn't always healthy for you right now, and how one simple change in the kitchen could be the key to finally waking up feeling light, limber, and like yourself again. The validation: you are not imagining this. If you feel frustrated, I want you to take a deep breath. You aren't failing. Your willpower isn't the problem. Many of us were raised with the idea that weight loss and health are a simple math equation: eat less, move more. But as we cross the 50, 60, and 70-year milestones, the math changes. The rules of the game shift. Have you noticed how a 30-year-old can skip one meal and lose 3 pounds, while you can eat like a saint for a month and only see the scale move an inch? Or perhaps you've noticed that your walking routine doesn't give you the same spark it used to. Instead of feeling energized, you feel drained. Your joints feel heavy. There's a specific kind of exhaustion that comes from living in a body that feels like it's constantly fighting itself. It's a quiet frustration. It's the feeling of watching your world get a little smaller because you're worried about how far the walk is from the parking lot to the restaurant. It's the fear of losing that precious independence, the ability to get on the floor and play with the grandkids, or to garden for 3 hours without paying for it for the next 3 days. The truth is, after 50, your metabolism becomes cautious. It's not broken, but it is protective. It stores energy differently. It reacts to inflammation more intensely. And this is where the healthy trap comes in. We try to force our bodies to act like they're 25 again by eating raw, cleansing foods. But your body at 65 doesn't want to cleanse. It wants support. It wants ease. What if I told you that the crunch you're adding to your salads, the raw vegetable you think is scrubbing your arteries clean, might actually be sending a red alert to your immune system, causing it to attack your joints? But before we name this vegetable, we need to understand why this happens, because once you see the why, the how becomes effortless. The story of Linda, a familiar struggle. Let's talk about Linda. Linda is 67. She's retired, she's vibrant, and she's someone who refuses to give up. She spent her life taking care of everyone else, her kids, her career, her home, and now she finally has the time to take care of herself. 2 years ago, Linda decided to get serious about her health. She saw the belly fat creeping up, and she felt the nagging ache in her right hip. She did what all the magazines said. She started eating a rainbow diet. Every morning, she made a giant green smoothie with raw vegetables. Every lunch was a massive raw salad. She was proud of herself. She felt like a warrior. But 6 months in, something strange happened. Instead of her joints feeling better, they felt worse. Her hands started to feel stiff in the mornings, like they were made of wood. Her healthy smoothies were making her feel bloated and gassy. And despite eating only 200 calories of clean food, her waistline hadn't moved. She went to her doctor and he told her, "Linda, it's just part of getting older. Here's some ibuprofen." But Linda knew her body. She knew this wasn't just age. She felt like there was a fire inside her that wouldn't go out. She felt defeated. She thought, if I can't lose weight eating salads, what hope is there? Am I just destined to be tired and in pain? Maybe you felt like Linda. Maybe you've sat in that doctor's office and felt like your concerns were being patted on the head and dismissed as normal aging. But Linda discovered something that most doctors don't have the time to explain. She discovered that her superfood was actually a trigger food. She wasn't allergic to it. It wasn't poison, but because of the way she was preparing it and because of the specific stage of life her body was in, it was creating a crystal storm in her joints. And the moment she stopped eating this one vegetable raw, the fog started to lift. Within 2 weeks, she noticed she could unscrew the pickle jar again. Within a month, that stubborn pouch around her midsection started to soften, not because she was dieting harder, but because she stopped triggering the inflammation that was forcing her body to hold onto fat for protection. The science of the protective body. Why does this happen to us as we age? Why can we handle certain foods at 30 that we can't handle at 60? Think of your body like a vintage car. A 1965 Mustang is a beautiful, powerful machine, but you don't put the same low-grade fuel in it that you'd put in a brand new rental car. You treat it with more care. You warm it up before you drive it. You understand that its parts are more sensitive to friction. After 50, our digestive system produces fewer enzymes. Our stomach acid, which is responsible for breaking down tough plant fibers, starts to decrease. At the same time, our gut lining becomes a bit more permeable. When you eat certain vegetables in their raw, rugged state, they contain natural defense mechanisms. You see, plants don't want to be eaten. They can't run away from a predator, so they develop chemical armor. These chemicals are called oxalates and lectins. In a young, robust gut, these compounds are usually processed and ushered out of the body without much fuss. But in a body that is over 60, a body that might be dealing with a slower metabolism or a bit of leaky gut, these oxalates don't always leave. Instead, they can leak into the bloodstream. And here's the part that will surprise you. Oxalates are shaped like tiny microscopic needles. If they aren't cleared out, they look for a place to settle, and they love to settle in areas where there is already a bit of wear and tear. They settle in your joints. They settle in your lower back. They settle in your feet. So, when you think you're having a flare-up of old age, you might actually be experiencing a crystal reaction to those raw greens you had for lunch. But it's not just about the pain. This process sends a signal to your brain that says, "We are under attack. Inflame the system. Hold on to the fat." This is why you can eat perfectly and still have belly fat. Your body is using that fat as a protective buffer against the inflammation caused by those microscopic needles. The reveal. The one vegetable. So, what is this vegetable? What is this superfood that might be the silent culprit? It's spinach. Now wait, before you go throwing out your groceries, I want you to hear me clearly. Spinach is a nutritional powerhouse. It's loaded with vitamin K, vitamin A, and folate. It is not a bad food, but for a senior struggling with joint pain, raw spinach is the one vegetable you should approach with extreme caution. Spinach is one of the highest sources of oxalates in the entire plant kingdom. When you eat a large raw spinach salad or throw 2 handfuls of raw spinach into a blender for a healthy smoothie, you are hitting your system with a massive dose of these microneedles. For many people over 60, the kidneys and the gut simply can't keep up with that load. The oxalates bind with calcium in your blood and form calcium oxalate crystals. These crystals are the primary component of kidney stones, but long before they become a kidney stone, they can lodge themselves in your cartilage and tendons. Have you ever noticed a gritty feeling in your joints? Or a sharp stabbing pain that seems to come out of nowhere? This is often the oxalate overload. And here's the healthy trap Linda fell into. She thought that by eating more raw spinach, she was helping her inflammation. In reality, she was pouring gasoline on the fire. But there is a secret key to this. You don't have to give up the benefits of spinach. You just have to change the relationship you have with it. The solution, the power of gentle preparation. This is where the hope comes in. This is where you start to take your power back. The difference between a trigger food and a healing food is often just a few minutes of heat. When you cook spinach, specifically when you steam it or saute it, you can reduce the soluble oxalate content significantly. More importantly, when you boil it and discard the water, you can remove up to 50–80% of those needle compounds. But there's an even better way for seniors to handle this. If you love your greens, look at the cruciferous family, but with a twist. Vegetables like broccoli, cauliflower, and kale are wonderful, but they have their own raw problem. They contain goitrogens, which can slow down an already sluggish thyroid. And as we know, the thyroid is the master controller of your metabolism. If your thyroid is slow, your belly fat stays put, no matter how much you walk. So, the rule for the over 60 body is simple and liberating. Stop eating your greens raw. Think about the wisdom of our ancestors. Think about how our grandmothers cooked. They didn't serve raw kale salads, they simmered greens in a pot, they slow-cooked stews, they sautéed vegetables in healthy fats like butter or olive oil. They knew perhaps intuitively that as we age, our digestive fire gets cooler. We need the stove to do the pre-digestion for us. When you cook your vegetables, you are breaking down those tough cellulose walls. You are neutralizing the defense chemicals. You are making the nutrients bioavailable. This means your body doesn't have to work so hard. It means your immune system can finally stand down. Imagine waking up and feeling quiet. Not the silence of a house, but the silence of a body that isn't screaming in pain. Imagine your metabolism finally getting the signal that the attack is over, allowing it to start burning that stored energy around your waist. Beyond spinach, the morning habit mistake. While we are talking about what we put in our bodies, we have to talk about when we do it. Many seniors I work with try to jumpstart their metabolism by drinking cold water with lemon or a cold green juice first thing in the morning. But remember the vintage car analogy. In the morning, your body's internal temperature is at its lowest. Your joints are at their stiffest. Dumping a cold, raw, oxalate-heavy drink into your system is like trying to start a 1965 Mustang in the middle of a Minnesota winter without letting it idle. It creates shocks in the system. If you struggle with joint pain and low energy, the best thing you can do is switch to warmth first. A warm cup of water, a ginger tea, or even a warm broth. This wakes up the digestive enzymes. It lubricates the joints from the inside out. And if you're going to have those greens, have them at lunch or dinner and make sure they've seen the heat of a pan. I want you to consider a switch. Instead of a raw spinach salad tomorrow, try this. Sauté some Swiss chard or bok choy in a little olive oil with a pinch of sea salt. These greens are often lower in oxalates and much gentler on the protective senior metabolism. Or, if you can't give up your spinach, simply steam it until it's wilted. You'll find that you can eat a much larger volume of nutrients without the needle effect in your knees. The emotional shift, reclaiming your independence. I know that changing a habit feels daunting. I know there's a part of you that thinks, is it really just the spinach? Is it really that simple? It's not just the spinach, it's the philosophy. It's the shift from punishing your body with raw, cold, hard-to-digest health foods to nourishing your body with warm, prepared, easy-to-absorb fuel. When you make this change, something happens to your spirit. When the pain begins to recede, your world begins to expand again. You start thinking about that trip you wanted to take. You start looking forward to the walk in the park instead of dreading it. You stop seeing yourself as old and start seeing yourself as seasoned. There's a deep fear that comes with aging, the fear that we are losing us. That the person who is active and strong and vibrant is being replaced by someone who is fragile. But I want you to know, that vibrant person is still there. They're just trapped under a layer of inflammation. They're just waiting for you to stop the crystal storm. You aren't losing your independence because you're 70. You're losing it because your fuel isn't matching your engine. Linda made the switch. She stopped the raw smoothies. She started lightly cooking her greens. She started drinking warm ginger tea in the mornings. 3 months later, she wasn't just better, she was different. She lost 14 pounds, not because she went on a diet, but because her body finally felt safe enough to let go of the fat. The wood in her hands turned back into fingers that could knit and garden and hold her grandchildren's hands without wincing. Conclusion: a new chapter. If this story felt familiar to you, I want you to know that you are not alone. Thousands of people are going through this exact same struggle silently. They are eating their healthy salads and wondering why they feel so old. But you have a piece of the puzzle now. Tonight or tomorrow, I want you to try one thing, just one. If you have spinach in the fridge, don't eat it raw. Sauté it, steam it. Give your body the gift of pre-digested nutrients. And as you do, I want you to listen to your body. Watch how your knees feel 48 hours from now. Notice if the heaviness in your belly starts to feel a little lighter. Sometimes the biggest breakthroughs don't come from extreme diets or expensive supplements. They come from small, daily habits that honor the body you are in today. You have worked hard your whole life. You have earned the right to feel good in your skin. You have earned the right to wake up with hope instead of stiffness. Your body isn't your enemy. It's been trying to tell you something with that pain. It's been saying, "Help me, make it easier for me." And now, you know how. If you found this helpful, or if you've noticed that certain healthy foods seem to trigger your pain, please share your story in the comments. We are a community of people who are learning to navigate this beautiful stage of life together, and your experience might be the exact light someone else needs to find their way. Stay hopeful, stay curious, and most importantly, be gentle with yourself. You are doing much better than you think. I'll see you in the next video.